Allow me to introduce myself.
I am the last sane sports fan.
I am a genius by trade.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. It's time to talk about the NFL Draft. It's coming up tomorrow, and for many sports fans, it's one of the biggest days of the year. And I would love to tell you that I have some in-depth analysis as to who everybody's going to pick and why, and who's the best fit for each team, but I simply don't. The NFL Draft is not my particular thing, and I'm not going to sit there and devalue it. It is an important cog in each team's yearly progression, but it's such a crapshoot that I don't see. It's become such an event, so hyped up, so covered from every single possible angle, that I just don't know that it deserves the kind of attention that it gets. And the draft itself, the actual night when the picks are made and the deals are done, that deserves some coverage because that is potentially each team's future. They're doing their best, and I know that a lot of fans out there like to criticize, and rightfully so in a lot of cases, but there are no general managers out there who are saying, I'm just going to waste this pick. We can afford to throw this one away. Let's just select some guy and then we'll cut him when the time comes. Each draft, the general managers and the people that put together that draft go into it with the plan that they are drafting their future superstars. But that just goes to my point. It shows what a crapshoot it is. The St. Louis Rams have been known for their poor drafts in recent history. Now, actually, looking at the last couple years' drafts, while there aren't any huge superstars that have really come out of it, the last couple years the St. Louis Rams have done a reasonably good job at filling up their roster with draft picks who actually played. Greg Robinson, Aaron Donald, LaMarcus Joyner, Trey Mason, Maurice Alexander, E.J. Gaines, all of whom saw playing time last season, whether due to talent or injury. Looking at the previous year's draft, Tavon Austin, while not necessarily living up to the hype that a lot of fans would have liked to have seen from him, he has done a reasonably good job of getting playing time. Alec Ogletree plays. He's a starter. T.J. McDonald is a starter when healthy. Unfortunately, that has not been as often as Rams fans would like. Stedman Bailey, he's kind of jumped up there. Barrett Jones, potentially getting more playoff time or playing time in the league now. But the bottom line, though, is even though the Rams have done a good job here in recent history, the draft, even as you expand out, is just littered with players that just did not make it. First round picks, players that you thought just couldn't miss. And not everybody's going to be a Hall of Famer. Not everybody's going to be a starter. But to the idea that you go in trying to draft somebody who you think is going to help you right then and there, and then for that player to do nothing it's just such a gamble, such a toss of the dice that I just don't see the build up to it. As I said, the actual day with the picks and everything that goes into it, I find that interesting. But just as another point that I just saw released today, to show you what kind of gamble a lot of these picks are. The Cleveland Browns are, according to ESPN and several other sources, interested in trading their 2 first-round picks, both of whom are in the teens, up for number 2 because they want to draft Marcus Mariota instead of the Tennessee Titans. And now, while that is probably not going to be enough, and the whole trade aspect reminds me of the movie Draft Day, which, if you haven't seen, it's really not that bad of a movie. I mean, a lot of people kind of panned it. said it's unrealistic, and there were general managers out there that said that there are parts that are realistic and there are parts that are not. It's a movie, but just the overall fact of that is basically what the plot revolves around, whether or not the Cleveland Browns are going to trade a bunch of picks foolishly to trade up for a quarterback, and then what happens after that. But so it kind of reminds me of that. But a stat that was brought up on Twitter through ESPN was that if that trade happened and they got Marcus Mariota, it would be the fifth time in, I believe they said, the last 9 years, maybe even 5 years, that they've spent their first round pick on a quarterback, and yet they're no closer to knowing who their starting quarterback is going to be than they were when they made the first pick. And a lot of that comes down to organizational success and how you utilize the draft. The New England Patriots, drafting so low year in, year out, still manage to make good use of their drafts, whereas you get local teams, as we're here in the Midwest, the Rams have been hit or miss, the Chicago Bears have been hit or miss, the Kansas City Chiefs have done an okay job here and there, but again, they're not the draft experts that people might have thought they were going to be, and it's just one of those situations where you never know who is going to go in, and the prognostications get so out of hand because while I applaud the intelligence and the dedication that goes into researching these things, it's much more time and energy than I would be willing to spend on it. But this is what these people love. Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, the plethora of people that do these studies and drafts and mock drafts and whatnot. I applaud them. I mean, there's so much intelligence and research that goes into those things. It's incredible to think about. But on the flip side, there's only so much that they can actually know. For example, the last 5-6 weeks, there's been a different wide receiver linked with the St. Louis Rams every single week. Well, if you listen to the people here in town, there's no way that the St. Louis Rams spend a first-round pick on a wide receiver because the people in the office are fairly happy with the wide receivers they have, regardless of how they're viewed nationally, regardless of the kind of stats they put up. In terms of the offense that Jeff Fisher wants to run, it's a situation where basically the St. Louis Rams are reasonably happy with the receiving core that they have, and it's unlikely that they will draft a receiver. But on a national scope, they're continuing to say that the Rams will draft a wide receiver because that's projected as a need. So therefore, it's all just kind of throwing paper up in the air and seeing where things land. And again, I applaud all the information that they have to sift through and the intelligence it goes into such decisions, but ultimately the lead up to the draft is just so overblown, in my opinion, that it's hard for me to really embrace. One other topic I want to get to today, there's rumors going around, strong rumors, that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to go after Billy Donovan with a force and try to get the Florida Gators coach as their new coach in the NBA. There's a very mixed track record in terms of college coaches going to the NBA and having success. Obviously, Coach Brown did a very good job. He won a national championship with the Kansas Jayhawks. He also won a NBA title as well with the Detroit Pistons. And Larry Brown is one of the few who have had success going both ways. And obviously the Boston Celtics. His name escapes me right now, but the coach from Butler, who just came up a year or two ago, and he's actually done a fairly good job with them. His face is right in my brain, and I can't seem to think of his name right now. But the bottom line is he did well. He's doing well, I should say. Larry Brown has done well. There are other coaches who have come up and done very well. But as good of a coach and recruiter as he is, John Calipari did not do very well. Rick Pitino, as good of a coach as he is, he did not do very well in the NBA either. So there's a laundry list of names on either side that you could pick and choose from with varying degrees of success. The reason why this one kind of interests me is because Billy Donovan is a good coach of talent when he's got talent in there. I think he is not necessarily recruited all that well. He had a few great years at Florida, and once those teams left with Corey Brewer and Joakim Noah and Al Horford, once those players left, then all of a sudden they kind of fell off the cliff a little bit. But going into Oklahoma City, he's got nothing but talent right there. That was a team that underachieved this year. They had a lot of injuries. You can argue one side or the other, and we have what kind of job Scott Brooks did with that team, whether or not he was the right fit coaching-wise for that team. But Billy Donovan, while I don't know that that team is built to have a college coach, I don't necessarily know that Billy Donovan is a prototypical college coach either. I think he's capable of coaching pro-level talent. He has proven that at Florida when he had those championship years. So if he steps into a great situation where you have Kevin Durant and Westbrook and all the side pieces that they are still probably going to have next season, he could be an immediate success. And then all of a sudden you have to start arguing kind of the Phil Jackson side of it. Not that Billy Donovan will ever be to that level, but just the overall argument. Is it his coaching or is it the talent that is winning right there? And ultimately that would have to be decided. But it's going to be a really interesting point. That'll wrap it up for today's View from the Midwest. Comment, rate, and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, share it around with your friends and we'll keep these rolling on for you. But until the next time, I will see you then.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space.